Street, further midtown. At this point, you're looking at on the main street, like Spruce or Locust, an eclectic mix of buildings from various periods. The major streets are at this point in Midtown where Center City has developed. Modern buildings standing and sitting right next to historical buildings from various periods. As I stated before, in Philadelphia, on the larger streets were where you would find mansions and where the rich lived. Midtown would be where those areas would have been developed for commercial purposes. The little streets are where you would find the middle class. And in Midtown, these little streets were not developed and are a haven for historical properties. We're going to take a look down Quince Street, the 200 block. Easy to miss. Quick peek down the street as we see. Now this video is intended to just show you again the vast inventory of colonial and federal, and later we'll show you Civil War era buildings and structures. What we're looking at now are still colonial structures or federal. Most of these houses on this street were built between 1810 and about 1820. There are exceptions. One house on this particular street was actually built in 1866. Besides the occasional exception, the street is pretty much intact the way it was in colonial days. They're all privately owned, and most have been modified. Inside, you would find a modern dwelling with modern conveniences. The houses along this street run about 700,000 to 1.5 million. Another alley within the alley. And yet another one. Wonderful place for a nice stroll to get away from the hustle and bustle on the main streets. This one says it was built in 1812 with a French flag. As we leave the major small street here on Quince, we're going to come out onto Spruce Street, a major street. Once again, this is where larger properties were developed and commercial properties. This particular section is still preserved on Spruce Street. And now we're looking at some fine, larger townhouses. Typical Philadelphia downtown.